coming up on OTH, Raymond and I discussed the semifinals from the World Championship and also give a little bit of a preview for the final match as well. Then we talk a little bit about off-season happenings with TSM and Riot Arcane. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 34 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, a.k.a. Mr. Sweet Tooth, because I got a fat-ass bag of Halloween candy, and it's only halfway gone, and somebody's got to eat that shit, dude. Like, they're starving kids in China. I have to do it. This one's for the people. And so, I will lose my teeth over the next month. And joining me on this episode is our other co-host, Raymond. I missed you, man. What's going on?
Just been I'm doing the same. I think I'm trying to temper myself from eating all of our Halloween candy. I know that it'll destroy my teeth. Can only have like 2 pieces a day at max. I'm rationing it, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, still been playing some games. I'm playing some Legion TD that's been going well. I've kind of dropped off a bit of the New World train last few days. But
oh darn,
still playing some League games. I don't know. I feel like I'll go back to New World, but just like I hit like one of those points where you start to slow down your progression, and I just started picking up other things and don't like want to go back and have to grind a lot.
For sure, the timing's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I haven't been gaming as much. Still a bit of Final Fantasy. Actually, I have been playing a bit more TFT. I think I said last episode they were coming out with the 2v2 mode that's now out on the PBE. I've actually been playing that with my friend, and it's a lot of fun, actually, because you just get to like rescue your friend from demise when, like, if you win your fight, then your remaining units jump over to your allies and you help them out, and you can save them from a loss. So it's pretty sick.
Dude, that's like I'm not gonna lie, that is like Legion TD2. Just saying, throwing that out there to any TFT guys feeling like you want to play duo queue TFT, but also not TFT.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I have not played much League, and I think it's like 3 patch notes have gone by that we haven't talked about, and I really don't care, actually.
Yeah, I mean, to be
In a
fair,
weird way.
I feel like all these last few patches have been so boring. Like I don't like I've looked at some of them and I get like 4 notes in and it's like, yeah, 5% attack speed. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'll close it before I even read it all because I'm like, preseason will come around and they'll do a bunch of shit and then I can read it. That'll be fine. But before then, who cares?
Yeah, maybe we can talk about like patching up philosophy at a later date. But we're back here again, joined hands at the table to discuss the semifinals of the World Championship.
True.
Or not hold hands, whatever's up to you. And both of them went to 5-game bangers, dude. With T1 versus DK and also EDG versus Genji. And we can go ahead and start with the first series. 2 Korean teams, a rematch of the LCK Summer Finals with Damwon Gaming and T1.
Yeah. Where do you want to get started?
First I'll get started with, I had, last week I was talking about how Aphelios was going to be pretty contested in both series, where I think that I had thought that Gumayushi was going to want to play a lot of Aphelios, and as well as a Viper for EDG. And I looked it up on Games of Legends, and there's 3 champions that had a 100% pick ban rate, either always banned or picked. So throughout these 10 games, and that is Aphelios. I think he did get played 1 time, but banned the other 9 games. That's Aphelios, Yumi, and TF. All 3 of those champions were banned all 10 games throughout these 2 series, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. On that same topic, I thought this was a weird. This series felt weird that it was like so Jin favored. Like you said, it was Aphelios pick ban, but it was banned mostly. But it was like the first 4 games were just whichever team had Jin won the game, which seems strange, especially like I don't know, when we played, I don't know if you remember, but that for me, there were like three champions that I got to play, like for the whole split that we played collegiate, and it was like Caitlyn,
Yeah,
Varus, and Jin.
right.
And this, like, both teams played counters, like counter picks to Jin. Like Ghost played Draven into it, and Gumayushi tried to play Lucian into it. And I mean, Lucian Nami's been a meta lane, but like the Draven, we got to finally come out, and I was talking about that like last week or the week before, I think. It's like
You
that's
were.
sick, but it didn't work for either of them, and I was just like, damn, these teams, like nobody's even been playing Jin the rest of the season or the rest of the tournament. It feels like except sparingly, But I
Yeah.
don't know. It was weird that it came out in such prevalence this series.
Yeah, I feel like that, that bottom lane kind of, well, AD carry meta is kind of been settled out for as we near towards the end of the tournament. And yeah, we were seeing just a bunch of MF and Aphelios throughout the whole tournament. Now Lucian and Jin are popping up in almost every game of the series of each series as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, Damwon pulled out the Draven in game two as well. Um, but so far, I was watching some highlights of this series, and the first 3 and 4 games, they were really exciting.
Yeah, this one definitely felt like a big back and forth, like these are I think everybody kind of expected that going in. I was, or at least we're hoping that it wasn't, going to be a stomp. But both teams did make a pretty good case for this being a real semifinals, world's caliber series. Even with the back and forth, there was some wacky stuff going on with like the support picks, with like Maokai support showing up, and then Zillion support
Uh
to
huh.
counter it. And the mind games in game five with picking Zillion, and then like making Damwon try to counter it for the final game. But yeah, it was definitely exciting to watch. I think I only was able to. I woke up in time to see the game five like on the day, and then like you said, just going back looking at highlights. But
Yeah, no, same for me. As I think I woke up to game five and Zoe hitting people with bubbles, followed up by Ziggs ulti, just like really poking out T1 in that last game, and it looked miserable. It was
yeah.
it was cock and ball torture for sure.
Yeah, that's what I felt like listening to game five, and like it's Saturday morning. I haven't seen any other parts of the series, and I can tell that it was a hype series, right? Like everybody's like, "Holy shit, it's game five! Damn one T1! It's like T1 and Rocks Tigers again. Let's go!" And then
Uh
like the
huh.
whole game is just T1 couldn't do anything, and you're just watching it. Like this felt like that game five felt like what every North American team feels like playing against, a Damn one or T1. It's just like even if we can do something, eventually you just like there's no more windows. Like nothing's gonna happen. You know, you knew like 20 minutes in, like Damon's probably gonna just win this game, huh? There's nothing T1 can do against their comp, and then it just slowly and slowly and slowly goes to Damon, and they take it. I was like, damn, brutal. What a brutal way to lose.
Yeah. Another thing I'm noticing for this series is 100% pick ban rate for Rakan as well, where at least for the T1 and Damwon series. So both teams seem to have really valued Rakan. Damwon played Rakan in both game 4 and 5, won both of them, and so it seemed to have been a pivotal pick for both of these teams.
Yeah, I think doesn't Rakan feel like such a good like high stakes champ? Like that's the one that I think as a support player, especially if you're like a pro support player, you're like, give me Rakan, like I'll make things happen. Like they go for such big plays, and it's such powerful engages, right? Like full screen kind of R flash W stuff to get carries, and it like you could always make something happen with their con, and then if it goes bad, just like E the fuck away too.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like Rakan is probably every support player's like top 3 favorite champion to play because you just
Yeah,
get so much to do with that champion.
yeah,
And you can also run it down really hard.
true,
Don't get me wrong,
true.
but so I think he's actually like not in a bad state in terms of like not being broken per se, but in the right hands, he's probably too good sometimes.
Yeah, and I think especially when you're in this meta where like especially that series they're picking like Jin and Ziggs and shit where it's like, yeah, we don't even like I don't care about the lane. Like I'm just here to be some backup like artillery guy, deal some damage at some point, and then Rakan's just like, okay, I'll fuck off, and you can go and farm however much you want, and then they just go and make plays, do the level 3 roams and all that kind of stuff.
But yeah, I think coming off of the quarterfinals where some of them were a bit one-sided and disappointing. Some individual games might be favored for one team. I think Game 4 was like heavily favored for Damwon. But overall, I'm happy to see that the series was competitive with one team taking a game and the other team coming back as well. And then Damwon being down 1-2, and then winning Game 4 and 5 to take it all. So overall, really exciting series that I think will be remembered for the books. Maybe not as fondly as SKT versus Rocks, but this is probably top 10 best world championship series out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I'm, like you said, glad that we got a series like this and it wasn't just all the quarterfinal stomps that we saw.
Any last words for T1 versus Damwon?
Just some parting words for T1, and I'm glad that they were able to have a pretty good showing. I think going into Worlds, people felt probably a little bit more hype, and then they had a pretty good showing in their group itself. And then like yeah, going into the knockout stage, I think people were at that point were pretty high. Like yeah, it's Faker. Like obviously this team is going to be good, but they had a lot of struggles throughout the season and changing their coaches and all that kind of stuff. The roster wasn't really solidified, and getting to see Faker like come back and have a legit tournament was like good to see, especially.
Yeah, I'm really hyped to have seen T1 do relatively well throughout this tournament, group stage, semifinals, and making a showing for in the semis as well. Okay, now we can move on to the next series, EDG versus Genji, the first seed from EDG versus the fourth seed of the no third seed of the LCK. Um, and I think that before going into this, we were maybe predicting this would be a snooze fest with maybe Genji being kind of a slow team and EDG can't really put a nail to them of what they're gonna do. Then
Right.
we can predict they'll be like a wild LPL team. And having watched some having just watched the highlights not even an hour ago, they were pretty wild and probably was probably a really good strength of theirs as well. And like I said before, this series went to 5 games with Aphelios, Yumi, and TF picked or banned every game. Actually, just straight banned every game. And with EDG picking Jarvan jungle every game, which makes me excited. But going back to game one, this was a really awesome series where I felt like both teams were just going back and forth at it throughout each game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm yeah, like I'm glad that it wasn't as bad as we predicted. It's still crazy. I like seeing people's takes on like Twitter of people who are more in tune with Genji than just like me seeing them here at Worlds, once a year. Um, like I think it was Emily Rand who said something like uh just like voicing the frustrations about Genji just like literally doing the same thing all the time. Like they picked Renekton a bunch still this series. Like they just they know how to do exactly one style and they're pretty fucking good at it, obviously, that they can get to world semifinals, right? But they just do the same thing, even if it's like objectively bad. Like you look at it and it's like this shouldn't work. Like what are you guys doing? You get exploited in some games and it's really obvious, and then they just run it back and continue to run it back, and they're good enough. They're good enough players that it works. But at the same time, it's like just like make it easier on yourself, man.
Yeah, yeah, because we have seen some unconventional tops throughout this tournament. The return of Gwen, um, people have been picking up Graves, and then but also Kate, Jason Kennan are kind of back in the top meta as well, and people are bringing out people as in Genji are bringing out Renekton for comfort as well,
Right.
and so it's been a bit standard and a bit different at the same time. But yeah, it is weird just where I believe the patch that they're playing on, the Worlds patch, it was a patch that Renekton was nerfed pretty heavily.
Right.
I think it was the one where I was complaining about like the W stun being like heavily reduced if it's even if it is empowered.
Right.
And I believe that this is this patch. And yeah, like you said, they played it Genji did games 2 through 5, and it actually did work for games 2 and 3, where based off the highlights, yeah, it actually worked pretty well. But then they just kept running it back, and eventually
Which
they
EDG
got
figured
figured
out a
out.
way to take down the Croc, yeah.
Yeah, they got.
And like you said about the patch too, like this, like literally 2 days ago, Riot comes out with another patch that says, "Hey, we're reverting some of these changes on Renekton because it made him too bad because we didn't want him to be pick and ban at Worlds, so now we can bring him back." So you know, like that should be a lesson to you. Like maybe we shouldn't have picked that champ if they like specifically gutted it and are giving it back because he was too gutted.
Yeah, and then also looking over the picks and bans and stuff for this whole series, I also see that um, LeBlanc was banned every game by Genji, and then Syndra was banned every game by EDG, and then Rise was either picked or banned every game as well. Um, so it's just interesting to see, some interesting tidbits to pick up, that we can take moving to the finals. Now that EDG emerges from this, where we can see, what the teams think that the comfort picks of EDG are, and we know what T1 thinks the comfort picks of Damwon are. Um, and overall, we can expect like pretty standard pick and ban phases throughout the finals as well. Of, probably Aphelios, Yumi, TF are going to be contested, and then the mid lane pool is going to be pretty contested as well with Zoe, LeBlanc, Syndra, and so it's going to be interesting what the teams choose to pick. But returning back to EDG versus Genji really quick. I love the way that EDG was playing throughout this series. It was just heavily aggressive with Viper popping off in game 1 and in some other games as well, especially game 4 with Lucian. And yeah, based off the highlights, it just looked like they were scrapping a lot. Whether there was a dragon or a Rift Tail to fight over or not, just
They,
they
that's the
they
LPL
just
special, man.
they
You
just
don't
go it.
you
Yeah,
don't need something to
just go
fight
for
over.
it.
You just know that you got to fight over it.
Yeah, and I that makes me really enjoy them, and kind of makes me want to root for them, as I feel like they're an underdog coming into the finals. But yeah, have you got any last words for this series?
No, I think I'm kind of with you. I'm yeah, like I'm glad that it is EDG that makes it out of this. As much as like I don't know, I didn't have the faith in Genji, right? Like throughout this tournament, so I'm glad that it's not them making it to finals because at every step I've just been like, yeah, I feel like this is the part where they just kind of like they'll fall apart. They'll do their slow normal style, and then somebody's gonna figure out how to beat them, right? And like, if it wasn't EDG that barely pulled it out, then like it would have been Damon that would have just hard 3-0'd them. Like, been like, dude, look, we've trashed you in LCK, and we've seen you do the same thing in this whole tournament, and we've gotten better, and you're gonna get shit on. So I'm glad that it's EDG, and hopefully they can put up a fight against Damon. Clearly, definitely the favorites from what we've seen.
Yeah, this is probably Genji's best chances of getting out of the semifinals. They got the better side of the bracket in that sense, but
Right.
yeah, I'm glad we'll get to see something new, a new matchup for the finals of the World Championship.
Yeah, that's a good
Damwon
point
versus
too.
EDG.
Would suck to see like multiple stages of just Koreans team killing Koreans, and
Yeah,
China gets one matchup against EDG or Genji, and then it's like, yeah, no, that didn't work out. Sorry, back to Korea versus Korea.
for sure. And then we can just do our best to do a little bit of a preview for the finals matchup, Damwon versus EDG. I was thinking we can just run top to bottom what we think of each of the lanes, and maybe pick one side or the other. For me, for Khan versus, I believe it's Flandre for EDG,
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna go with Khan there. As for who I think is a stronger player, although
Yeah,
I don't know too much about Flandre's champion pool. Next up would be Canyon versus Jeju. And like I said, like Jeju literally just played 5 games of Jarvan just
right.
now, so I don't know how all that's gonna go. But Canyon is revered as one of the best junglers in the whole world, and pretty much every jungler ever looks up to him in Tarzan for the past year.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's probably spot on too. I don't know that I think you got to be a good jungler to still play Jarvan at a competitive level, but it's some amount of like my team also just wants us to play Jarvan because it's dumb easy engaged. You know, like I don't think that that's like
Yeah. And
that's
the
not
thing,
a sign of
watching them, like
confidence
they,
from your
he
team,
makes it work. Yeah, he does make it work.
right? But at the
Where
same time,
like,
it's like, do you really? Is this the best you could have done? Is Jarvan like? Isn't there
yeah,
something else we could pick?
for sure. Yeah, like Lee Sin is heavily contested in T1 versus Damwon, but not in EDG versus Genji. So watching the way that they do use Jarvan, or that he does use Jarvan to either create space or start fights or engage or EQ in or ulti in, EQ out,
Right.
just those kind of different choices that you have when you play Jarvan, like they make it work, and he fucks for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull it out even more, or if it even draws some bans
Yeah,
in the finals. But I'm gonna go with Candid on this one.
yeah. Of all the guys that would
Uh,
figure out a way to beat Jarvan, it would probably be Canadian.
yeah, maybe with like a he did pull out Kiana in the last series, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
For Showmaker versus Scout, I think both of these players are extremely great actually. So I'm actually going to probably hold off on picking one over the other. If I really had to pick one, I'd probably go with Showmaker, just because I'm really impressed with the way he's played over the whole tournament. But Scout really popped off in the semifinal series as well. So I'm really excited to see this matchup moving into the finals.
Yeah, and I like both of these guys. Like they've been picking out the playmaker mids out of mid lane too, like the LeBlancs and Zoes, like that really get things done, not just going for scaling mages most of the time. So I'm sure that they can have some spicy mid lane contests.
Yeah, and then moving on to, it's going to be Viper versus Ghost. I think a lot of people shit talk Ghost, but I think that he's having a pretty good tournament so far. Where I just watch his movements in team fights, or how he follows up on showmakers, or any other person like engage and stuff like that. And I think he's a good player,
Yeah,
and I think he's playing fine. Maybe there's some weird hardships they had throughout the summer split, but at this tournament and what I've seen from him, I think he's doing good. Viper, on the other hand, he's really been popping off, getting duo kills for EDG just off on their own out in the semifinals match, and so I'm gonna favor Viper, but I don't think Ghost is bad by any sort, and I think he's having a good tournament. I would actually say.
yeah, I'd actually agree with you too. I think he does. Like, Ghost definitely gets some criticism that's well deserved. But like you said, this tournament he's been like a really solid player for Damwon. Plus, I mean, he's also already a world champion, right? Like this, they're running it back. Like I think he knows the stage that he's on, right? Like I think he can play up to it. And then the same for Viper. He hasn't been to the World's Finals, but I think he's shown that he's ready for this moment, and he's also really fucking good. I think I'm with you. I'd probably favor Viper just in the pure head to head. I think he's probably the better player, but we'll see how it works out on the day.
Yeah, and then lastly we've got Beryl versus Mako, who are both, Beryl's a world champion, and Mako's a long time player in the LPL as well. I believe he's the longest standing player on EDG actually.
Yeah, I don't know. Was he
Uh,
on that team that went MSI, or is that too long ago?
Uzi Mako, or 2015. Oh, the 2015 MSI.
Yeah,
Let's just take a
yeah,
look.
that's what I'm looking
2015
at.
EDG. No, I can't really tell actually.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah, actually, I think he was. No, wait, this is it saying this is what it is now. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll have to like YouTube it or something instead of trying to Google
Right.
it. Oh yeah, he was. It was Deft and Mako back
There you
then.
go.
So yeah, he is the.
A
I'm pretty
former
sure he is
MSI
the longest standing
champion,
member.
and yeah, he's definitely the
Yeah.
longest standing member. So pretty cool to see him get to World Finals. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Scout is the second longest standing on the EDG roster, but anyway, so we're doing Beryl and Mako right now, and both are renowned players. Again, Beryl gets some flack for being kind of a a nincompoop
Like
sometimes,
Genshin, Pac
being
main,
kind of
and
a
not a League of Legends player.
yeah. And I think Barrel's playing fine this tournament, and something to kind of point out and see is that um, it would appears to me that Barrel favors more of those engaged kind of champions. He was pulling out Maokai in the semifinal series, Alistar, 2 games of Rakan, while Mako he's not afraid to play the enchanters throughout this tournament as well. So he's been playing Nami, Lulu, but he can also pull out the Leona and stuff like that as well. So um, I this one's more of a 50-50 for me. I'm not too sure who is a better support player or not. I'm just gonna go with Mako here for fun. Um, so yeah, that's a little top to bottom for me. I don't know if yours is gonna be any different or
Yeah,
not.
I don't think I have much of a difference either on the support there specifically. Like I don't know. I think it's probably a difference in just how the teams decide to play the 2v2s, like is what's gonna differentiate these supports. Like if EDG wants to play the Nami Lucians, the Jinx Lulus, those kind of things, like they can be maybe more like they'll look better in lane, right? But if Beryl and Damwon is just saying like, yeah, put Ghost on Jhin or Ziggs, and we'll put Beryl on like a Nautilus or something like that, and go make plays and go somewhere else, like that'll it's gonna be tonally about like what the team wants to do. I think not necessarily like how the supports go head to head.
Yeah, and then I guess the last thing that I have to say is that I'm excited to see whatever Champions Canyon is gonna play out because yeah, he can. It seems like he'll pull out anything this tournament from Lee Sin, Jin Zhao, Jarvan, Kiana, Talon,
Yeah,
Poppy, even. So he's got a lot of tools in his toolkit, and so I'm looking forward to see the picks that Damwon end up using in both jungle and middle as well.
yeah, true. You think about it, the Poppy into the Jarvan too. That's the perfect counter. He's got it. Canyon's got it for sure.
Like you said, they've got the counters and they've got it figured out, or they can just ban it and they'll be in shambles
True. What else is he gonna play?
probably.
He probably doesn't know how to play any other champion in League of Legends. He's a Jarvan one trick.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Any last words for a preview of Damwon versus EDG for the grand finals of the World Championship 2021? No double elimination.
No, I think I'm here just I just want the 5 games so that I can wake up in time for at least one. That's what I'm hoping for. That, and I hope Imagine Dragons takes a really long time to sing their song so that also, maybe the games start a half hour later and I can still wake up in time.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, and that wraps up our World Championship discussion, and that would make us a bit of a shorter episode today, but so we can talk a little bit about some news going on outside of the World Championship, outside of Iceland, and you and I already talked about this before the show. We can talk a little bit about TSM news because that's where most of the confirmed off-season spicy stuff is happening right now. So I'll go ahead and start with the first one, in which the TSM just kind of announced out of nowhere a special message from Reginald and the other Parth
Hmm.
um, that they made an offer to Bjerg, and unfortunately Bjergsen declined the offer to continue staying with TSM. And so this pretty much confirms that Bjergsen's looking to play, and unfortunately he just won't be playing with TSM after 8 long years with the organization.
Yeah,
Or 7, I'm not sure.
yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? I think, yeah, 7 maybe is the right one. Season 4, or yeah, season 4 or season 3 summer, whatever. Um, but yeah, that is pretty crazy that no TSM Bjergsen. It's like it'll be weird to see him like I don't know on whatever team he ends up on. And there's been a lot of rumors still, and I don't want to talk about rumors because they're gonna change tomorrow. I'm sure whatever we talk about today is gonna be outdated by the time we film the next episode or record the next episode.
True.
Um, but it'll be weird to see him in a different uniform, regardless of where he ends up.
Yeah, and definitely wherever he does end up, the documentary series for that team is gonna pop off instantly.
True.
We're like he could go to CLG and fucking the CLG behind the scenes Budweiser shit will it'll start getting hundreds of thousands of views like just because people want to see Bjergsen, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, wherever he goes, I hope the content team is good. For now, all we know is that it's just not
This is
TSM.
gonna be the biggest like since Doublelift leaving like CLG. I feel like that was Doublelift's thing when as he switched teams. You found like the real Doublelift fans and the real CLG slash TSM slash Team Liquid fans, right? And I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of people were like obviously Doublelift fans, like you'd team hop with them, right? But with Bjergsen, I think I think this is like even bigger. You're gonna see like who's really the TSM fan and who is really just a Bjergsen fan. Like this is the biggest shift in like team structure that TSM is gonna have, not having Bjergsen on it, and they have Spica in his. He's standing in the middle of Bjergsen's like enormous boots in the TSM training facility, trying to fill it all up.
yeah, and that's tough too because this whole year was a restructuring where Spica was the only last standing member from the previous
Yeah.
year, and then now it looks like it's going to be another rebuild around him as
Mm.
well. And I say that because it's also confirmed from TSM that Sword Art departed from the organization officially already as well. So um, I believe beforehand he had a multi-year contract, but they're ending it now, and he's already departed the team.
Yeah, that one. I As soon as the Bjergsen news came out, I wasn't as surprised about the Sword Art thing. I was like, I feel like Sword Art probably came strongly on the backs of like, oh yeah, Bjergsen is coaching, like he has this vision, like I'm ready, I'm in with that. And then if Bjergsen says I'm leaving and TSM says we're making a developmental roster, you're like, I'm not doing that shit, bro. Send me back to China. I got the big bucks.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last TSM news, speaking of Spica again, is I believe Reginald was doing like a bit of like a question and answer kind of thing on the TSM subreddit, and he answered to somebody that they're looking to keep Spica and Huni, and to more or less rebuild the roster, focused on those, not focused on those two, but keeping in mind that those two will are likely to stay around. And so just right there, that's two resident players, jungle and top lane, and I guess just interesting to say that, or interesting to hear and see that Lost is not immediately listed in this
Yeah.
conversation. Um, and we know a while back that Cody Sun and Hunter also left the organization. And so this is pretty much what TSM confirms that they have the pieces that they're playing with right now. And yeah, it's like you say. Well, I guess we'll get to see who are really TSM fans and who are really just Bjergsen
Right.
fans. Um,
And some of the damn dude.
in my opinion, it's a bit of both. Like I think I will continue to root for TSM or at least watch TSM
Yeah.
games, but I'll definitely also want to watch Bjergsen games
Yeah.
as well because he's brought me a lot of joy throughout the years. No
I
homo.
agree. I agree. And it's some of these dudes, some of the rumored rosters, and like I said, we're not getting into them, but I'll tangentially refer to them. Some of the rumored rosters with Bjergsen on them are like, that's tempting, dude. Like, holy shit, are some of those tempting? I'm like, I'll stand whatever team that is, baby. Get me over there. Send me a jersey.
Yeah, for sure. Also trying to keep the speculation very low, but depending on where, now that Bjergsen's back in the league, I'm also just very interested to know where Jensen is going to play as well for that rivalry to spark again, and to see if Jensen's going to be playing on a team, or if Jensen is going to have a team around him who is going to be competitive, and what team is that going to be, and if he will continue to play mid lane.
True. True. Who would have thought?
Um, but yeah, that's a pretty much all of the off season stuff that we want to talk about for now.
Yeah, I think until we get some more cold hard contracts, I don't need to talk about it all. It would take too long, honestly. I would sit here and just say like, damn, TSM's keeping Huni and Spica. All right, let's get Chovy and Reckless and Mickey X, dude. Let's go. That's a team. Squad up.
Yeah, or maybe Pell Belter. We'll
True,
see.
true. But he plays top now, dude. Have you not seen his streams? Come on.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen his OPGGs where like yeah, he's been playing top a lot. Like he used to back in the olden
True.
days.
Back in the days of double lift blitzcrank carry or whatever.
Yeah, back in the days of high school full builder, actually. Um, and then lastly, in the League of Legends universe, we also got kind of like a visual update for Caitlyn, where I believe all of her models are getting upgraded, all of her splash arts were updated as well, and apparently some minor, or maybe not so minor, mechanical changes revolving around her traps, with not just the visibility but also how they work, and possibly some adjustments to how it affects Caitlyn's attack speed or auto reset, and also its modifiers with headshot as well. Some maybe some fuckery going on there, but other than that, dude, the visual update, it looks pretty nice for Caitlyn actually, who is an extremely older champion. And I was actually really sad too because I've been seeing all this like Legends of Runeterra
Yeah,
splash
yeah,
art
yeah.
come out lately, and like all of the Caitlyn stuff for like Academy Caitlyn looks really beautiful for the art from that game. And then we just have like this shit over here in outdated League of Legends land, and yeah, Caitlyn did not look too hot there, but now she is hot for sure. Damn, like what's up, mama? And she's brand spanking new.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going right back to being a Caitlyn main when that update comes out until I start to lose a bunch of games and it's unwinnable. But I'll play her a few games at least. That I think, like you said, the Legends of Runeterra splash art when she came out in that game, I was like, damn, okay, Caitlyn, I like this character. Let's go. And then now that they're actually getting the updates to the real League client, I'm down for it.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I have Arcane written down here, but I don't really care.
Yeah, if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to. Then I think it.
Oh, actually, there is going to be like an Arcane event, which interestingly we'll be able to get like 4 skins from that, like for free, just by playing, but just by playing and doing the missions and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool and interesting. Where like most of the time, most missions are like not even most mission rewards are like pretty meh, or it's tied to like whatever the battle pass event is, where like you just get like an orb of that battle
Right,
pass
right.
or something like that.
But yeah, like actual legit
Um,
skins.
but yeah, but this time around, yeah, I guess we can talk about it. So uh, the Riot show Arcane that they teased 2 years ago alongside Valorant and the Riot Games fighting
Wasn't it
game as
just
well.
last year? Am I
Um,
crazy?
it must have been 2019 because,
It was the
well,
10-year
actually,
anniversary though, right? So it
I
would have been season 10. It was last, wasn't it?
well, just because it's season 10 doesn't mean it's 10 years for Riot, though, right?
No, I think it
But
was.
but I'm thinking 2 years because I thought I saw a trailer of Arcane on YouTube, and the date said 2 years ago. So that's why I'm thinking
Oh,
2019. Um,
maybe, yeah, maybe.
but anyways, but I do believe that it was teased to us alongside Valorant and the
Yeah.
fighting game. And it's just now coming to fruition. Coming out this weekend, actually. I believe it releases just after the World Championship on Netflix. And apparently, there's hype all around the world where there's fucking banners and billboards and advertisements and subways and shit all over the place on different countries around the world. And I guess all that stuff is just popping up now for a release on Sunday. And there's going to be a big in-game event for all of the different Riot games. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think yeah, for every
Um,
Riot game, I think they talked this week. I think it came out about how Riot admitted that like their esports department is like running at a loss or whatever, like it's just marketing. And I've whatever money they're wasting on LOL esports, just to get Riot some money, like holy shit, dude, the money that they put into marketing for Arcane is unbelievable. Like just the sheer amount of places, like every day on the subreddit, it's like, oh yeah, Arcane is here, like in this part of the world, and it's in Moscow, and it's in Dubai, and it's in Shanghai, and it's like, holy shit, relax, guys. I don't need to see it on every building in the
yeah,
world.
I mean, you're a partaker of the sports, my man. Have you seen any like Arcane commercials in between football games or anything
I
like that?
don't think it's gone that far where I've seen it on like actual broadcasts. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Like would
Okay.
have remembered for sure. But I've seen enough like digital ads for sure of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if every Twitch ad before you click on a streamer is an Arcane
Hell,
ad.
dude,
They'll get you
if
like
you're
that
on Reddit,
sometimes.
like you open up like comments on posts, and it'll be like, hey, by the way, like you can get a Reddit avatar of Jinx or Vi, like because Arcane is coming out. It's like Jesus, guy. They put Jinx in Fortnite, dude. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and then apparently today you can download all of the right games on the Epic Game Store as well, which is like it sounds
Right.
fucking useless, but whatever. Whatever draws people back into League of Legends, playing two games and realizing why they quit in the
Yeah.
first place.
It's just gonna get all the new Fortnite kids to be like, oh shit, League of Legends, I can play that game, and then they'll download it. That's the strat. Um, what rank are you in set
All
two
right,
or
just
in set
checking.
six now in TFT? Have you tried it on live?
I haven't
Okay.
played yet. Actually, yeah, I haven't played on live, and then on PBE, I've probably played like less than 10 games, so I'm pretty uncomfortable with it, and I'm pretty sure it's just fuck it, dive right in. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and definitely has a lot of replayability, just because there's a lot. There's so many like RNG kind of things instilled
Yeah,
within it that are impactful at the same time. So there's a lot of
yeah. I
replayability.
feel like it's kind of cool the way they're doing the augments thing, like where like it seems like the last augment you get, like that's based on what you've already built, right? Kind of. Or like you'll get at least like one option that's like for your main synergy, it seems like. So it like makes it it seems like that'll make it so that you have like more comps that are actually viable in late game, like if it gives a huge bonus to a particular synergy that you build.
Yeah, and there's gonna be just a lot of, in that game on the fly adaptation you'll have to do more
Right.
often than not. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not very well versed at it just yet.
You'll get there, dude. You'll be back to masters in no time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, actually, my stats for 5.5 is I got back to masters in like 53 games.
Damn,
And I definitely could have done better. But
that's not
it's
bad.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm not too shabby, I think. All right, that about wraps that up for episode 34 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to give us a rating on the podcast player that you are listening to us on if you haven't already. And we are available on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, as well as many other podcast players as well. Again, I don't really remember the outro, so that's pretty much
You
it.
write this whole script.
We'll see you guys later.
All right. See you guys.